What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining in. In this week's video, we will be going over key levels, also known as support and resistance levels. I feel like a lot of traders don't understand how to properly set their support and resistance levels. I talk with a lot of you guys, and this is something I see that a lot of people have a tough time. So I thought I'll share my tips and what it is that I look for when I'm setting my key levels. And also, this is connected right directly with level two, right? When we are looking out for breakouts and stuff like that, if you don't have your key levels set, you're not really going to be able to understand where it is that you can anticipate a breakout and where it is that it's time for you to actually start looking at the tape. So let's start. I'm going to start with giving you guys some basic information on key levels. Then I'll show you guys on a chart how I set my levels. Okay, so what is a key level, right? Key level is basically when price tests a particular level multiple times, right? And then it gets divided into two parts. We have our support and resistance. Now, support is a level when a stock is coming on the downside, right? There is a lot of buying pressure comes in with a lot of volume, which shows us that there is high level of demand in that particular price range, which causes the price to start increasing. And we see that from that particular level, stock bounces off and starts going on the upside, right? Now, as the stock is going on the upside, on the opposite side, what happens is there is slight resistance. Now, this level is identified when there is more supply and there is more selling happening. So as the stock starts going up onto a particular price range, we start seeing that sellers start getting aggressive and it starts selling more aggressively, which causes the price to start decreasing, right? So that is our resistance mark. Now, there's also unfilled gaps between open and close in the price action. That's not really something I'm going to cover in this video. My main topic that I'm going to be going over is just how to set your support and resistance, what it is that I look for. I don't want to make a lengthy video, but I will be posting more videos with more helpful tips and different types of techniques that I look at, and from there, hopefully, you guys can pick on some things and implement in your trading. Now, this is a NVIDIA's daily chart, right? So each candle basically represents a day's information. So if we look right here, we have support at 185 mark, right? So what we are looking for whenever we are setting these key levels, okay, is which price mark is it that where the price is tested multiple times, right? So 185, if you guys look here, it's tested 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 times, right? So now this is telling us that this is a very, very strong key level, right? And then as the stock kind of bounces off this mark, it goes and touches 218, and we see a little bit of rejection, and that is your resistance level, right? So that's where selling pressure comes in, pushes the stock down, and then buyers try to come back in and push the stock up a little, try to break the 218 mark, but we have slight resistance there again, and it gets rejected. Now, going over this particular 218 mark, we have testing here, 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 and here, okay, as well as here. So now this is kind of telling us that these key levels that we have identified are very, very strong, right? So now these are two, this is our support and resistance. This is a key level. Now, the reason why I keep saying key level is because the roles are always reversed, okay? Now, when $218 mark is broken, right, which is right here, once buyers come in, they push the stock above this particular price range, what happens is that at this point, 218 is our support level, right? This is not our resistance anymore. Now the roles have kind of switched. Now, as the stock starts pushing higher, right, we see that it gets rejected at 252, around 252 and 252.70, around that mark, right? So now this is our new resistance level, right? Now, to kind of review how strong your level is, you test, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So basically, it's tested multiple times, giving us an confirmation that this is a very strong key level, even though the roles are reversed. Over here, it breaks, then it gets pushed right back down. Now this becomes our resistance again. It breaks above on the upside, and now this is our support level, right? So that's why I use the word key level, because it makes kind of more sense to me than saying support resistance. So I like to just set my key levels. That's how I kind of use this rather than saying, hey, support resistance. It's just very confusing. Now, I'm going to give you guys a few tips, but before we get into that, I'm going to give you a little bit more information. This is something I'm going to cover in the next video. So if you guys look, when you are setting your key levels, what we just went over are considered to be trend lines, right? Your support and resistance levels. But other traders, they actually use other indicators such as Fibonacci retracements, moving averages for support or levels of rejection, and various other technical indicators, right? And also there is a term called multi time frame. Okay, so this is when you are trading on multi-time frame, on maybe 4, 3, or 2 different time frames, and you're trading based on those 2 or 3 or 4 time frames, right? And that's where you mix in your maybe moving averages or Fibonacci retracements or trend lines, and that kind of helps you in your trading to be able to see these key levels very, very quickly. Right, so I'm gonna make a video. That video is going to be on something else another time. We're not gonna focus on that right now. But moving forward, this is another basic information that I kind of wanted to add in here, because I feel like a lot of traders either they get confused, or I don't know if they overlook this information. But each candle, when you're looking at it on that time frame on the top, right? If you're watching a daily candle, that candle gives you information for that particular day, right? So if that trading day is from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., that candle represents the price movement for that particular day. If you change that time frame to, let's say, 15 minutes, right? Now that each candle represents 15 minutes of price action. And then once that 15 minutes is done, you have a new candle forming, and then so forth. Okay. So keep that in mind. A lot of you guys messaged me on Instagram, and so I compiled all those questions regarding key levels, setting support and resistance and everything. I'm trying to answer that in here. So hopefully, if there's a question that I've missed, just kind of either message me on Instagram or comment in the YouTube section below, and I'll cover it in the next video. Now, how do you properly go about setting your key levels? All right. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to start with your weekly levels. All right. These are going to be your strongest levels, and your weekly and your daily levels. Now, one tip that I want to give you guys is make sure you differentiate the colors of those lines. Okay. I'm going to show you guys once we get to the chart. I just wanted to kind of break this down on a slide. So once you have these two broken down, you have your levels where the price action has tested multiple times. Once you've identified those levels, move on to a smaller time frame, 4 hour and 1 hour. Now, these smaller time frames can actually help you guys identify or give you a confirmation for two things. One, how strong that level is. All right. Or you can also adjust that level. If you're missing something, or if you really didn't, if you put the line too down or too above that particular price range, you can adjust it looking at these time frames. Right. Second thing is, this helps you in your intraday trading as well. Right. So when you're day trading, you can set these levels to kind of understand if now your weeklies are strong, your strongest levels, right? Your 4 hours or your second strongest levels. Now your 30, 15, and 5 minute, these are basically consider your intraday levels, so they won't be as strong as these two levels, right? So with this kind of helps us differentiate which levels are strong, which are the weak ones, which we should be focusing on depending on where the price action is, right? So now that we have this kind of separated, we're going to go onto a chart, and I'm going to kind of break it down for you guys, show you guys what it is that I look for, and give you guys a few tips to kind of make setting your key levels easier. All right. Now, this is Facebook's 1 year, 1 day chart. It has adequate amount of information for us to basically set our key levels, right? So one thing that I learned when I first started trading, I'm a very lazy person. For people who know me, I like to find the easiest and quickest way to get something done. And when I was, when I started trading, one of the things I struggle with is setting your key levels. And I came across a little information that if you actually switch your chart from a candlestick chart, right, to a line chart, right, it kind of becomes a little bit easier. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for levels of price action where price is testing that particular mark multiple times, right? So first we're going to start with the most obvious ones, right? So if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So it tested here 7 times. Don't worry about it, kind of saying, hey, is this support? Is this resistance? No, first find levels that price is testing a particular level multiple times. So once you have that, we'll identify if it's a support or resistance afterwards, right? And another thing is you want to give it a particular color. So when we are doing daily levels, I'm going to use that as orange. Okay. So then another mark is right here. This is pretty obvious, right? We can see 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So multiple times that it has been tested. Then also, and another thing is, if you guys notice something, that my lines are not going all the way to the left. Now the reason why is when I'm setting these levels, right, and let's say in 2 years or 2 months or 5 months, when I come back and I'm analyzing my chart, because now price is moving in this particular price range again, I know that this is the first time stock is actually hitting this particular level. If the line just goes all the way across, right, this really, it's just not very helpful for me. If you guys want to do that, you guys can, but it's just something that I do for my own trading style. And then now we have another level right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So now that we have these particular levels, we're gonna set these ones as well. Right here we have a particular level, and then we have right here. And these ones I'm not really gonna do right now. So now once you have this, switch over to your uh, candlestick chart, right? So now you can see right here, there's wick holding this particular price range, kind of gaps down. And you see that now this kind of becomes this process makes it a little bit easier for us to set our levels, right? So once you have this, now this level, if it's not making sense, this is where your second step comes in into helping you kind of identify if your level is good, if there's something you messed up on. So what you do then is you go to a smaller time frame, right? So we're going to go to 180-day 4-hour chart. So now what we're seeing is each candle represents 4 hours of information, okay? And it's for 180 previous days. Now, since stock is moving here in this particular range, we don't really need to go and set these levels for the time being, right? We were just gonna focus on these, and as the stock moves up, we can set these levels again, but for the time being, we don't really need to do that. Now, if you look right here, this is a level where stock kind of held, but it's not really very clear in this particular area. So that level we're gonna kind of leave alone for now, and we're gonna focus on the current price action. Now you guys see this line I kind of just placed randomly, but now when you go to a smaller time frame, it's kind of showing us that this price action doesn't really make sense, right? So you want to kind of change it up to see where that test makes more sense. So if you're going down and it's still not making sense, then what you want to do is just remove that line and set new levels, right? Now, but there's a lot of choppiness going on in this particular area, right? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go down to a smaller time frame to kind of identify this a better line of support and resistance. And before we do that, you remember how we set that color to be orange? Now, since we're going into smaller time frames, and this is a lot of chop and a lot of levels are broken and then retested, you want to have a different particular color. All right, so we're going to go to 20-day 1-hour chart. And now if you guys look here, now we're getting a little bit of more cleaner chart, right? So now we can identify, all right, so 1, 2, or you can change this back to a line chart, right? And then kind of see which level is tested multiple times, right? So I'm going to switch this back just to kind of show you guys how easy it becomes, right? So if you're looking at this, it's really difficult to kind of see, all right, where is the level that I should be placing? But now when we switch it over to a line chart, right, you place this line and you just kind of follow it through. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So this kind of makes more sense for me to place my level around this particular mark, right? So then you go to edit the properties. We're going to change this to, let's say, green. I'm going to save it as default because now we're going to be focusing on a smaller time frame, right? So once you have that, then we have this level right here, and then we have a level right here, right? So now if you guys look, my lines are still ending wherever it is that I'm placing lines. They're not really following through. If you see that level over there, what you can do is remove that line and extend it up until where it is that you think that you're seeing that particular price action move, right? So now we need to update levels on this price, right? So now we're gonna go into another smaller time frame, but before we do that, we're gonna add another level right here, and yeah, so then we're gonna go to a 30-minute chart. So once we go to a 30-minute chart, now we're seeing more intraday levels, right? This one, and then we have this one a little bit over here. Now again, don't go for perfection, just whatever. Don't look for exact number. Even if it's off a little bit, that's fine. You just need to be as close as possible to demand and supply areas. And once you have those areas set in, that's all that you really need. You don't really need to worry too much on setting those levels to be perfect. All right. So when we're looking at pre-market levels, let me just change this back to kind of show you guys. There we go. All right. So now you guys see that these levels, setting your levels with that particular line chart is actually much more helpful than kind of setting it with a candlestick chart. All right, so once you have that, again, 15 minutes, then we go to the 5-minute chart. Now, just to kind of confirm how much those levels make sense, they might, move a little bit away from that line, but that's totally normal. That's not something you should be worrying about. Our whole goal is to see how many times it kind of gets retested, right? So if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now this is telling us this is a good intraday level. All right, guys. So if you have any more questions, send me a message on Instagram or post the comment on what other videos I should be making. If you have any other questions, you can, again, send me a message or post a comment. And any suggestions you guys have, it'll be very helpful for me to understand what kind of information it is that you guys are looking for. All right, guys. Thank you so much.